We're here to talk about the exciting 3-2 overtime comeback win of the Hurricanes over the Edmonton Oilers last night after trailing 2-0 after two periods. Corey, you've probably already seen this. By the way, thank you very much for jumping on at Cory Lav on Twitter. You've probably already seen this. It's a bit of trivia for people who haven't heard me mention it yet. The last time the Hurricanes trailed 2-0 entering the third period and won 3-2 in overtime, where and who scored the game-winning goal?
You know, I did see that, but I can't recall what the circumstances were around it, but I know it's been a while.
It was October 5th of 2019. They trailed in Washington 2-0 entering the third period. I don't remember who scored. I'm trying to think who scored. Justin Falk scored one of the goals in the third period. I'm trying to remember who scored the second one. Might have been Teuvo Teravainen, and Jake Gardner won it in overtime.
Yes, I did see that. And I think that was the game before Dougie Hamilton started his four-game goal streak.
Yep.
Which is the only time, other than the current one that's occurring, that's ever happened.
So let's just chat about what we saw last night, and then we'll kind of broaden it out a little bit. What were your overall thoughts about the game? Did that seem like a 2-0 game to you entering the third?
I mean, it felt like it should have been like 7-6. And I don't even know that that's a testament to the goaltending. It was just kind of a weird game where, a lot of chances didn't go in that probably should have gone in. And, there were some spectacular saves, but at the same time, there was a lot of luck involved too. So it was a weird game overall. So for it to be 2-0 feels very Hurricanes-y. But yeah, just kind of a strange game, especially, the amount of talent that's on that other side.
Cory Lavalette, North State Journal and The Athletic, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Hurricanes in overtime beat Edmonton 3-2 last night. I think it's been kind of, for me, and I've been talking about this, whether it's on the show or on the podcast, it's kind of been a theme for Carolina, just not getting enough out of those moments. Like, you never expect to score on every chance. I mean, that's not realistic. It doesn't happen that way. I mean, even Edmonton, as you pointed out, Edmonton could have scored more goals last night were it not for, I thought Brent Burns was great. I thought Freddie Anderson either made great saves or maybe the puck just hit him. There were opportunities to score. Zach Hyman probably wants a couple of chances back that he would otherwise normally, bury or make, put a better shot on net. But the Hurricanes against Pittsburgh should have been ahead more than 3-1 going to the third. Should have been ahead of St. Louis more than 1-0 after one. And, how many empty nets did they miss in the first period last night? Jack Drury, Jack Roslovic each had empty net shots. Martin Necas swung and missed on one. Jordan Martin going to rebound shorthanded. Shoveled a puck 4 feet over the crossbar. It just seemed like that should have been no worse than maybe a 2-1 game for Carolina after one period.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe they played their best in the first and ended up in the worst situation there, which is hockey, right? That's kind of the sport we've decided to watch last night. Can just kind of be that way. And I don't know, maybe it's the early season fully getting your hands back. Maybe it's just one of those things that the ebbs and flows of a hockey season, and we'll be looking back on this in the middle of, January sometime when they score on seemingly every chance they get.
Yeah.
You don't want to think too much about it. The fact that, even look at Sebastian Aho. I don't think he's been particularly good so far this year, and he's got a point per game. So, which is what great players do, right? I don't think Martin Necas has been particularly good so far this year. He's, more than a point per game.
More than a point per game.
So, it can be weird that way. And, I guess, if you're the Hurricanes, you take the 2 points and you ride off to Calgary.
I think Speaking specifically to Aho, I think that line has been, as a group, very good without anybody standing out. I think that group has been good in terms of creating opportunities. They just really haven't clicked. Even the one goal at 5-on-5, the Svechnikov goal, was in some ways a goof because Andre didn't beat the goaltender cleanly. It went off his skate and in. So and he had the whole net to shoot at. So I do wonder this because, and I'll kind of flip this over to Necas. I wonder because you and I have talked about it. I've talked about it. The margin for error, the scoring depth isn't necessarily there, at least among the forward group. It's clearly there in defense now. But among the forward group, the scoring depth is not there. So I just wonder if a little bit of pressure, self-pressure, is being applied by Aho and Svechnikov and Jarvis and Necas because they know that those are the guys that have to score. I do think that it looked like they relaxed a little bit after the Gostisbehere goal got it to 2-1. Because I thought from that point on, maybe not Aho, who wasn't good in the third period last night, but in the case of Necas, I thought Necas was excellent from maybe the middle of the second period to the end.
They just needed their magic amulet, Shane Gostisbehere, I guess. I guess you take Shane out of your pocket and he scores a goal and things start to go right for you. It's the best way we can look at it.
He has been remarkably good. What have you thought of Brent Burns through 5 games?
I thought he was actually rather good last night.
Yeah.
My concern coming into this season was you saw that dip in shots on goal. The thing that has made him so prolific is his ability to get shots through, to get releases on shots. And last year it dipped and his point total dipped. And he did a lot of his damage on the power play. At even strength, he did not do a whole lot. And now, he's got, I think, 10 shots, which is fine. 2 a game is fine. But, time comes for everyone. And
right.
What the Hurricanes need is Brent Burns to just, it's kind of like, let my car get through the winter, They need him to still be an effective player this year. And, what happens after that, I think we probably know. This is probably his last season here. But, yeah, I mean, I thought defensively he played a good game last night, and that is not an easy assignment, going against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah, I named him my second star of the game. I thought he was exceptional defensively last night. Even if it was just that first power play where Jordan Staal lost his stick. I mean, Brent Burns got his stick on either 3 shots or passes or knocked the puck away off of somebody's stick, and there are no average players on Edmonton's power play. I thought Brent was excellent last night. I think he's moving better. And Rod Brind'amour, at least in my conversation with him yesterday, kind of accidentally let slip that he was dealing with an injury, and it sounded like he started to say the word hernia. So, I mean, maybe that has something to do with the drop-off, because we all saw it. I didn't think he was good in the playoffs at all, but maybe that had something to do with the drop-off in play. If it were up to you, who would start in goal tomorrow in Calgary?
I mean, I think I've been pretty clear that I think you need to hand the reins to Kochetkov at some point.
Right.
You can't keep handing starts to Frederik Andersen because history has shown that something's going to happen and you're not going to have him anymore. At the same time, I mean, Andersen's been really, really good. I think that they'll probably continue with the alternating games and go back to Kochetkov, and then you see what happens in that game. And, if you can get through the road trip going through each of them, you don't have another back-to-back, I think, until mid-November. So those are 2 home games, which isn't a big deal against Ottawa and St. Louis. So I think you try to let this sort itself out that way and let these guys decide with their play on the ice who's going to be your 1A, so to speak. But at the same time, I don't think you can give Frederik Andersen 50 starts.
No,
So
I don't either.
Kind of have to go alternate, right? Alternate them, one another, and let it figure itself out for the playoffs.
Even at the beginning of the season, and you and I are on the same page. I think Kochetkov must be the guy as we get closer to the end of the season. I think he has to have established himself as the first choice part of the tandem. And what we all know is that Rod will choose one going into the playoffs. He always does. Whether it's Peter Mrazek or even a couple of years ago with a healthy Freddie Anderson, Antti Ranta. He had decided this is my guy right now. And it will take some time for that to change. Alex Nedeljkovic was the first choice goaltender when we got to the playoffs in the crazy pandemic Central year. But I'm not sure it wouldn't benefit Kochetkov to have a little message sent to him, because I didn't think he was great or good enough, even though he might have been screened and the Kapanen goal in St. Louis was a breakaway and a defensive mistake. Feel free to make the save. And I didn't think Kochetkov did enough to bail his team out. And I think Anderson has, even though I didn't like the second goal last night, I didn't like the second goal against Tampa, I think Anderson has been better. I don't think it would hurt Kochetkov to maybe have a little message sent and say, we're going to go with Freddie again. And then, Piotr gets the net in Seattle, and then Freddie gets Vancouver, and then we come home and maybe Kochetkov gets Boston. But I don't think it would be terrible to send a message to Kochetkov in that way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I think, like I said, I think just one thing you need to concern yourself with is if Freddie goes and pitches a shutout in Calgary and then he has a day off, does the temptation get too strong to go back to him in Seattle, and then you're putting yourself, in a dangerous situation.
If he pitches a shutout in Seattle, I'm okay with running him. In Calgary, I'm okay with running him out there after a day off in Seattle. I know that ultimately it's going to be a rotation. I know it. We all do. But I think you still have to earn that spot. So, all right. Well, one quick thing: did Jackson Blake maybe hit a Game 5 wall last night in the third period?
Yeah, it's gonna be an adjustment.
Yeah,
he's on his first NHL road trip. We have to remember. He certainly has never done anything in college, like fly from Raleigh to Pittsburgh to St. Louis to Edmonton. I don't know how many of those arenas he's played in during his career, but I'm going to guess it hasn't been all three.
Right.
And so everything's different, right? You have to find out where the locker room is. Just all those little things are probably mentally exhausting.
Sure.
And, I thought he was fine, but, he's a kid still, and you want to see out of him. But you have to expect that out of any 20, 21, 22-year-old player or younger, that there's going to be this ebb and flow of, consistency. And I think, the good news is he stayed out of the penalty box, which has been a little bit of a problem. But, you don't worry too much about him. He's done a good job.
I love him.
It's hard to argue with what he's done. He's been really good and kind of stole a job in camp.
There's no question. I love the kid. I think he's going to be a really good player. I mean, who knows for how productive ultimately he will be, but I like what he's got, and I just thought it was funny to really, you could see it. It's like he struggled to the bench at one point in the third period. I'm like, we might have seen the last of Jackson Blake for the rest of this one. Cory Lavalette, North State Journal and The Athletic. My friend, appreciate your time. I will talk to you soon.
Thanks, buddy.
You got it. Thanks, Cory Lavalette.